For all film-related interviews, reviews, and content, please like and subscribe to Pooja Talwar. You can also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. So, Shashi, I'm not joking. I seriously mean it. When they had the slate and they had, given us a preview of test, I was really excited because, cricket and films. I mean, India, there are two things that work. It's cricket, films, and then come weddings. These are the three things Indians are obsessed with. But I just like the whole tenor, the way it was presented. You have three people, the cricket pitch, and how life and like you cricket, a test match. It's very similar, how you are on the pitch, and it's like that focus and that one moment that can change life. But apparently, this was something that you sat with for over a decade. Why did it take so long?
Wow. No, I think what you mentioned is the interesting bit. There's a great line in the film. It says that it doesn't matter whether you're the king of the country or the guy on the road. Life will figure out a way to test you out, right? Because that's the only way you will know who you are. So I think that is the fun bit. So the cricket guy was always there. So when we started about 12 years back with Suman, he was the co-writer and somebody we worked with. The idea of the cricketer was there as a plot idea. But it's the balance that you needed to find. What is the other test? What are the other people? What are the, like I said, the other characters were representing the common man, right? But the test is common for everyone, actually. So that journey of finding characters more than the plot is what took time for me to understand the insights of how a cricketer. We've seen cricket films, but we've never seen the cricketer in the film, right? It's
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so we've seen the hero outside, but the dysfunctional absentee father, absentee husband has never been seen. What does it take for him to be the hero of the country, right? So these are the insights that I needed to gather, and then you just make us like a larger idea rather than just being a one-dimensional way of looking at test, right? So that took us a long time, actually.
That's so interesting what you said, because recently I've seen our cricketers all wanting to take paternity leave and be there for family, which is so interesting because you just regard them as sportsmen. But before after that, I'll come back to you later, Shashi. I want to ask Monica. The fact is, during the pandemic, you had started this beautiful anthologies. I think you were one of the first to also bring the regional content as such, because everyone felt that the focus was too much on Hindi, vis-a-vis the rest. But now, where do we go from here? Because even now, they feel that ज़्यादा नहीं देखने को मिल रहा है. I feel you're making those effort, to change the narrative in terms of the slate that you have to offer and not make it just very north centric. They are the other four brilliant film industries we have down south.
No, absolutely, Pooja. I feel that as we keep saying, this is not one India. This is many Indias by language and film industries, and all of us have common passion of storytelling. And all these industries are thriving. So I think for us, you're right, we started early. And we made those beautiful anthologies, Navrasa, Pava Kadaigal, Pitta Kathalu. We had Minnal Murli as an original. And we had these stories, but we, took a bit of a pause at that time because we wanted to develop and look for quality ideas and stuff. And we wanted to understand the audience deeper. We were also at that time in the process of ramping up the Pay One slate in Tamil and Telugu. That was very important for us because Pay One slate, when you have post theatricals, you're able to understand the audience taste and the breadth of audience you can bring in much more. And when you do that, then when you actually bring originals, you are able to, in a rhythm cater to your audience. If you only do one thing or the other, you're not able to ever give enough because it takes a long time to make an original. The whole commissioning process, the pitching process, and there are only as many people, creators and producers that you can engage with because we are all, however large a team one might think we are, you're never large enough for all the pitches that come in. And out of those pitches, how many actually are really clear about the vision of the creator, the voice, they talk to a certain audience in a way. So I think for us, it was really important. We knew that we had to program originals. We were always very passionate and clear about it. We just started ramping up and put our team efforts in ramping up on the licensing while we were actually finding the right stories. That's how test happened. We have a Telugu comedy drama called Super Subbu or Coming, which is a very, very interesting series. And we have many more lined up, which we haven't announced. So I'll come to them when we are ready, and you'll be one of the first few to know that. But we are very sort of clear that programming in Tamil and Telugu originals is a very important, as important for us as Hindi, because we have South stories doing so well on the service.
Absolutely.
And also, I feel the creators, the story grammar, the subjects also have a little bit of a difference between, you know, how North India and South India and language, different language creators, storytellers come at the, you know, stories and subjects from a different perspective. And that I think is very exciting.
Absolutely. I totally get that. And Shashi, also want to ask you, I love your star cast. I mean, you have Siddharth, Nayanthara, and Madhavan, each representing, I would say, a decade. You know, each belongs to a certain decade of cinema. What was it like to bring these three people together and get them play the characters they are? Because somewhere when I was seeing I've only seen the preview that they did show me, you don't think of them as this is Madhavan, Siddharth, and Nayanthara. They are very much the characters that I now need to want to know more about. But sometimes, you know, when you have a star cast like that, they tend to carry their stardom with them.
Yeah, I'm going to add Meera Jasmine as well as on the fourth one, because she's a national award winner.
Yeah, yes.
So that uh, lucky that Maddie and Sid have been my friends for last 15 years. We've worked in 3 other films before, so there's a great off film chemistry that is there. So I mean, I think I've always believed that the film that I would make is going to be character centric, and if that's the case, then you need skill as an actor to perform it, right? It's an author backed kind of uh, project that I'm trying to set up, and I think everything will rely on the casting of it. I mean, there's so much of the intrinsic character of of the actor that who brings in and makes that. It's I'm only making a glove. The character needs to come with his hand and kind of, you know, do that final fit for themselves, right? And it unless you're skilled, you can't do that. Like you'll have to bring that to the table. It's not, and this is the first film that all of them have done sing sound. So the performance, the voice is part of the performance. So Nayanthara, for example, has not even dubbed for any of her Tamil films ever before. So she's never used her voice as a tool to being a performer, right? So the fact that she came in after 20 years saying that, okay, this is the character that I'm going to break that whatever preconceived notion, and I'm going to bring my performance to the table. So because I mentioned, like, every time you swing your hand, the bangle sound is going to be held, so that's part of your performance. Like, you're going to capture everything. So for them to, you know, break out of that shell and bring that, they needed to bring their A game. So I was super lucky that all of them bought into these characters, because again, even if Meera's role is much smaller, I'd conceived this scene, which is a 4-minute single shot, right? Where it's almost like this character is lighting her own fuse to explode at one point of time. That's how I set it up. It's like she's lighting her own fuse and then she needs to explode. And I needed somebody who understood every like point where she's going to the next stage of that explosion, right? So somebody who could mark it, clearly calibrate that performance for that to work. And the kind of, like, for example, Siddharth had to practice for 9 months to just to get the body language of a cricketer, because we use live broadcast cameras to shoot the entire sports portion. So unless you are somebody who's skilled to face a ball that is coming at 140 kilometers, you are not going to be looking like a cricketer.
Absolutely.
Right? So he was willing to put that kind of effort, right? So all of that was the challenge for, you know, all four of them. And I was so happy that they saw that in the script, like, because I'm a first time director, what could they see from what I was trying to say? But the script was what was guiding them to come in and put all of this stuff, the effort, and it's brilliant. It's for everyone to see.
You're waiting to watch it. And before I go to Monica again, I want to ask you, as we were just discussing, everybody is, just basically being immersing themselves in Southern content. What do you think makes the stories that are coming from these brilliant film industries, actually raise the bar in comparison to the rest?
See, I think the word that needs to be used is not language, but culture.
Yeah.
See, when I think Hindi had a problem that they were making pan India Hindi films. The problem is that just because they spoke the same language, they didn't represent the same culture, right? So there is a disconnect. So somebody in Haryana or somebody in Madhya Pradesh, though they might be speaking the same language, their culture is very different. So I think that's the difference, where Telugu, Tamil, and all the South languages are ingrained in the culture of the language that is being spoken. They don't have to make it like a common denominator that would work in Punjab and in Orissa, right? They don't have to find. So I think for a longest time, I think what the filmmakers and everybody have been struggling is, how do I find a pan India Hindi speaking film? That's a very complicated way to, kind of find a film, right? So I think it's not the language, it's the culture. The more the language is representative of the culture, the stories that are coming is representing the culture, I think people anywhere in the world will identify. You don't need to, like, if you're making a small film that's in Tamil, but saying it is in Tamil, the rest of India will figure out how to watch that film. As long as it doesn't say it's this is the way a hero in Bombay will work, the same hero in Bihar will not take that, I guess. So I think the word we need to use and try and find films is cultural.
And with your first film, you've hit that bullseye, na? Because cricket is a
Cricket is
in our country. That's what I said. Cricket, films, and weddings. The next could be one weddings in her. But Monica, the landscape is changing. When we spoke 2 years ago, it was entirely different. The consumer, what they wanted to consume. Now it keeps changing. So how do you keep abreast? Like, how do you gauge? What do you really think is now the demand in terms of consumer preferences?
Pooja, if I can say this on record, it's more dramatically evolving than we can even imagine. Because every single minute, people are exposed to so many things that are happening around them, which is changing their taste, their emotional bandwidth at the time, their reaction, their reflexes, how they're consuming content, what they're talking about. So it is a dramatically evolving landscape. And I think there is a very positive aspect of it, which is that the audience is very open to trying new things, right? They are experiencing, video entertainment of all kinds in long format, short format, coming from any country. It's available to them in their language, and they're willing to accept and get entertained with it, immerse themselves in it. But at the same time, it's also shaping them and their tastes very, very differently. Their demands from, people who can hold their attention, stories that can bring them something in that moment, and, can make them click play and yet stay through it for the next 2 hours or the next 6 hours or the next 8 hours. That is becoming, a very big, I think, challenge for storytellers and services, platforms, theaters, all mediums, right, to cater to. So I think what we have to remember, that as this evolution takes place and the audience taste is evolving very fast, their thresholds are constantly changing, it's the time to go back to the first principles of entertaining, of storytelling. And what are those first principles? They are really to be authentic to the story, have a very powerful story anchored in what you're trying to say. What Sashi was saying, like culture, absolutely true. People are watching stories of Korean culture. Adolescence, since it is in the zeitgeist, or Baby Reindeer before that, or when we talk about Chamkila, or we talk about Black Warrant, or we talk about Hiramandi, or Khaki for right now, any of these stories, it is so important that you're anchored in the reality, you're authentic to what you're showing.
Thank you so much. And Shashi, my last question to you is, as Monica said, they're challenging times in terms of cinema. I mean, it's, I think, facing its worst ever slump. And also, I think streaming somewhere across the board has spoiled us.
I'm sorry, Pooja, if I can say all over the world.
All over the world.
Hit any market, you read about any market, it is a time of flux.
Yeah.
So people who tap into the time of flux, seeing the opportunity, will actually be the ones who come out great on the other side.
I totally agree with that, because the thing is, and also I feel streaming somewhere has spoiled us for choice, because there's so much available. I can shift from one to another and watch whatever I want to. And now, since you're bringing Test to Netflix, and it could have been a theatrical release, but here you'll have some 192 countries watching it together, and recall value is also a lot more, because all you need to do is just press that button and watch it. What do you think actually makes this platform more vibrant in comparison to theater with cinema, which is different, but no one actually is making that effort to go and watch unless it is something larger than life?
Yeah, I would like to, kind of in the stigma of something being called OTT versus small screen, right? I would say all the films that have been iconic to me as I grew up in, as a child, is all being watched on a small screen, whether it was Godfather or the Tamil classics or any film that was away from the, the age that you were growing up, right? And you got to watch it. A film will find its audience and will leave the impact. It doesn't matter where you watch it. I mean, so I come from that world. And and you also look at it saying, storytelling is only half the job.
Yeah.
But because the other half is who's listening, right? Is where are your audience, right? That is the critical bit of the storytelling part of it. You can't be selling stories where no one's listening. And the fact that, so this decision of, this collaboration happens because as a first time storyteller, what I see is a captive audience that's going to engage with the content from day one, right? And across the globe. And there's an opportunity for a Tamil local product to become a global product, right? So for me, I see the endless opportunities for this collaboration, and I clearly feel this is the way forward. And this is not the first time. When Jagme Tandram happened 5 years back, the whole industry was against us, right? But we all took a call saying that this is the way forward. And then we've gone in that direction. So, and Mandela went on to win as a national award for best production. Yes. So where you get both the critical masses and the critical acclaim, why wouldn't you want to do this?
Absolutely. So looking forward to Test, because I'm a great lover of sport, though I don't play any sport myself, but I love sports dramas because there's something very exciting about it. So looking forward to it. And thank you very much for sparing me your time.
Thank you. Lovely.
Thank you. Bye, Pooja.
If you've liked this interview, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram.